Hey everybody, my name's Kang, and in this video, you're gonna budget with me. This is a monthly reoccurring series where I break down every single dollar I spent, saved, and invested. I make these videos to keep myself accountable, promote financial transparency, as well as give you an accountability partner if you want to start budgeting yourself. If that's something you're interested in, make sure to hit the subscribe button so you can join the mob and not miss out on any future videos. First, let's start with paycheck. So I get paid twice a month on the 15th and the 30th. So my total gross pay is $5,300. Of that $5,000, I invest 35% into my 401k, which is pre-tax, which works out to around $1,800. I'll talk a little bit more about that later. And then I also have some other disability and health insurance deductions as well. That amount then gets taxed. So here we can see I paid $556 in federal income tax, $330 in social security tax, $77 in Medicare tax, and the total taxes withheld is $974.02. Which I'll say it again, Seattle has its ups and downs, but you don't have to pay federal income tax, which is really nice. Next up, we have the after-tax deductions. So ESPP, I invested $800 in this paycheck. Legal plan, I do $10. Disability is another $11. So after all that, what actually hits my bank account is $1,669.58. So like I said a bit earlier, I get paid twice a month. So the total that hits my bank account at the end of the month is around $3,300. All right, so now that we've talked about the paycheck, let's talk about investments, because a lot of the investments that I did in the month of January was through employer-sponsored benefits. Like I said earlier, I'm contributing 35% of my gross pay into my 401k, which just basically means pre-tax. And this number is going to be doubled because it's two paychecks. So in total this month, I've invested around $3,700 into my 401k. So what's great about my company is that they actually match my 401k contributions 2-to-1. So for every dollar I put in, they put in 50 cents up to the max. So that means by maxing my 401k, I essentially get a free $10,000. So in situations like this where you get a guaranteed return of 50%, I think it's a no-brainer to max these as fast as possible to get that money in the market sooner. Because like they say, the best time to invest was yesterday and the second best time to invest is today. Now, a lot of people prefer to max their 401k throughout the whole entire year rather than trying to front load it as fast as possible. But front loading is something that I prefer, and I have a whole entire video on it if you want to check it out. So if you want to include the match that my company provides, the total amount that I invested through my 401k this month is around $5,500. Next up, we have my ESPP, which is also a company benefit that I think is a really good idea. I have another video on it if you want to check it out. But in total, I invested $1,600 through my ESPP. So this money that's contributed to my ESPP plan isn't technically invested right now. It's just sitting in a bucket waiting for the 3-month period to expire. And after the 3-month holding period is actually when you'll get that company stock at a discount. And then at that point, you can make the decision to sell or to keep it. Aside from investing in my work benefits, the only other thing that I've invested in this month is Bitcoin and Ethereum. So each week I buy $100 worth of Bitcoin and $100 worth of Ethereum, which means this month it's $400, totaling up to $800. So in total, if you add up all those investments, it ends up being around $8,000. I'll have the exact number on screen, I can't remember. All right, so now that we've covered the pay and the investments, we're gonna get to the part that is a little bit more engaging, which is the spending. All right, so let's hop into Mint, which is the app that I highly recommend. It's great for budgeting and tracking all your spending. The only issue that I have with it is that it doesn't update right away. So as you can see here, today's the 31st, but my second paycheck hasn't hit my account yet. So if we look at Mint right now, it looks like I'm over in every single budget this month, which isn't entirely true. The main reason for this is because I live with roommates, and a lot of the time it's me that's paying for like the utilities, for example. So I end up having to front the bill and then splitting it off afterwards, which I'm completely fine with. So right now we're gonna go through all my transactions, which basically just means pressing the transactions button. And then we're gonna go through and check which ones are reimbursable and which ones are not. So another great app that ties into this is Splitwise. If you live with roommates, you have to get this app, it's amazing. So as you can see here for utilities, I paid $160 and I'm supposed to get back $108 because we split utilities 3 ways evenly. So the way that I do it is I'll take the total amount, which is like $163 for the utilities. I'll split it into 3 because that's how many people we're splitting it by. I'll leave my portion in mortgage/rent, and then I'll leave everyone else's portion in hide from budgets. Now, the reason that you're making it hide from budgets is so that when you do your end of year spending or whatever, you're not having another category that's just reimbursable. So I'm gonna go over the rest of them and speed up the process because I'm pretty sure at this point you understand how it's done. Okay, so I've basically gone through all of it except for my Amazon purchases. So my work actually reimburses money that you spend towards your hobbies. So one of those hobbies is this camera stuff. So I got this light, which you obviously can't see, but it was around $300. So the total I got back was around $200. So I'm just gonna reimburse that to myself. So now I'm gonna go through and actually mark all of my Gemini transactions as investments because it marks it as a transfer. So after we went through and cleaned up all the transactions, we now have a pretty good idea of what our monthly budget actually looks like. So if using Mint, cleaning up the transactions is usually the hardest part. But once you get that out of the way, everything else pretty much falls into place. You just gotta look at all these different trends and see if you're spending too much money in one category or the other. Auto and transport's around $25, which makes sense. Bills and utilities, $20 for my internet, that makes sense. The mobile phone order is really high. It's $475. That's because I'm on a family plan with my friend and I just pay him for the whole entire year upfront, so it makes it easier for him. So if we do the math, that's around $38 a month that I'm paying for my phone plan. That includes my phone on contract for 3 years and like unlimited data, unlimited everything. So I think it's a pretty good deal. This month I spent $27 at the bar. Fast food was a bit over at $69. So for groceries, I spent just under $300, which considering I went to Costco this month is actually pretty low. So this month I spent $120 on restaurants, which is over my budget by about $60. To be honest, I think having a budget of $60 for restaurants is very low considering I live in Seattle. It's a pretty high cost of living city. And one of my goals for 2023 is to try to spend more money and actually have more fun. So I'm actually going to up this to $100. Next, we have rent, which is $1,300. This includes my rent, my utilities like my water, sewage, gas, and also my electricity. Next, we have gift and donations, which I've either gave someone $40 or donated $40 this month. Next, you have hair care, which is $120. I get perms every couple months and it's pretty expensive for the perm, obviously. But then afterwards, you just get haircuts for a little bit. And I think it averages around to $50 every single month. This month, I spent $374 on shopping, which includes this light that got reimbursed a little bit through work, and this backpack that I'm going to use for traveling. And everything else, we just have my laundry, which I don't know why I don't have that as a budget. Let me add it really quickly. So after we add that laundry budget, everything else ends up being $0, which is ideally what you want to have. So let's go through the big picture numbers for the month. Income, I got $3,300. Spending was $2,412, leaving me left over with $888. One quick note that I want to make is my crypto investments aren't a part of the spending. So if we subtract that, it actually ends up being $80 that I saved this month. So pretty much break even. So like I said earlier, one of my goals this year was to spend a little bit more money and try to live more in the moment and not regret a lot of purchases that I make. So what I spent this month is actually in line with what I want to be spending my money on. But again, January is a pretty boring month. A lot of people are coming back from holidays or not really wanting to do stuff because it's cold outside. So we'll see how I feel about this in like a month or two. So that's basically all I do for budgeting. As you can see, it's pretty simple. The hardest part was doing the mint transactions, but after that, everything's basically a walk in the park. This whole process took me around an hour, but that's only because I'm filming. If I was doing this just basically on my ones, it would take me like 15 minutes max. That's why I think budgeting in general is a really great idea because it doesn't take that much time and it gives you all this information that you can work with. Let me know if there's anything you want me to include or not include going forward into this series. And if you find it interesting, make sure to let me know down in the comments. And if you're still interested on seeing more of how much I spend and how much I invest, you can watch this video right here where I go through how much I spent, invested, and saved in 2022.